Trying up another Carrie Stevens streamer today. This is the Pink Lady. Not certain if this was tied for a particular lady or just because it was all pink and that's how it got its name. But it is pink. Got some pink floss for the body and pink hackle here for the throat and a little pink band in the head. So very colorful fly. I like the contrast, the grizzly in here for the sides. I mean, I think this is a very good baitfish imitation, and it'd be interesting. I have found pink to be a very effective color in fishing many times for many different species, cold and saltwater, even warm water species. That's the Pink Lady. I'll get started tying. Start the Pink Lady with my hook on the vise. This is a Partridge CS15 in a size 4. It's a 9X long streamer hook. I'm going to debarb the hook. In the interest of speeding the whole video up a little bit, I already have a base layer of thread. There is a floss body on this, which is pink, so I don't want to put a dark, like a black thread or anything on here. I keep it white so it stays light. The thread that I'm using is a Danville 3.0 monocord and waxed monocord. You could use a 210, whatever you want. I use a larger thread simply because it helps me get from one end of the shank to the other a little quicker. There is a tag on this of silver tinsel. There's no tail. And there is the floss body, and then there is a silver tinsel rib. For tinsel, I'm using a Danville silver and Mylar tinsel in gold. Silver and gold in a size 10. That's what I was trying to get out. Right here, I've attached my thread and brought it down to maybe about 1/5 of the hook shank still here. That's where the tag's going to be. I'm going to tie this in with the gold side out. A couple of different ways you could do the tag. My preference is just to tie that in, wrapping down the hook shank, trapping in that mylar all the way back to the end of the shank, and then wrapping back forward, stopping at my tie-in spot. I don't have to put the tag in now because I can put the floss on, apply the floss, then put the tag in, and as I do that, then reach out with the tinsel to put the rib in at the same time. Floss, I'm using a Danville 4-strand Rayon floss in pink. I'm using all 4 strands for this. I'm going to tie this in up under the thread. I want the floss to go about halfway up the body or so. I'm not that concerned about keeping a nice level body on this. I'm not planning on framing this or anything. Probably will end up fishing this at some point because of the nice grizzly wing in this. I think this would be a great fall baitfish pattern. So I'm going to advance my thread forward in touching turns to give myself a smooth underbody. With my thread up here just behind the head space, now I will apply the pink floss and then the tinsel for the tag and the rib. The pink lady has a head that is black with a pink band in it. If you have watched any of my videos on these, you'll see that I like to use the lighter color first and then put the black bands in afterward. So here I'm going to attach my pink thread. I'm using a Danville 6/0 in pink. There's also Danville 70 Denier. I'm going to attach that right behind the eye of the hook. Now trapping in the white and the tag end of the pink. Now I can trim away both the pink and the white at the same time. There is an underbelly of white bucktail. I've gone ahead and already prepped a clump of bucktail here. Doesn't have to be real thick. You're just wanting to get a nice white belly on the fly. I'll pull out any hairs that are kind of going wild on you. To tie that in so it just extends past the bend of the hook. Securing that in right under the head space. I'll trim away the excess. Hairs that are kind of going wild, you can trim those out if you want. In terms of this as a fishing fly, I don't think that's really going to be that big of a deal. But you can trim those out a little bit if you want. If you want, for some reason, it just doesn't agree with you. Now there's a throat of pink hackle fibers on the pink lady. I don't have a pink, just a nice kind of soft pink schlappen. Apparently they don't make it anymore. They don't dye just a soft pink. At least one of the companies that I buy materials from, that's what they said. All they had was a hot pink. I have tons of hot pink. This is more of a hot pink, but this is a whiting rooster saddle. So what I'm doing is I'm using one of the larger feathers down here at the base, and to get the fibers for the throat here, I'm just peeling the fluff off of this to where I have, as you can see, you have the very, very soft hackles right down here at the base, and similar to your schlappen, you can just isolate a clump of it and peel those off, trying to keep the tips nice and even, and then you can tie that in as your hackles. The primary reason I use schlappen is I like them because the barbs have lots of barbules on them, so that it looks fuller than, say, just a stripped down barb like you would see on a dry fly hackle. And that's what you're looking for, in my opinion, on these. I'm not certain if there was a particular hackle and or reason why Carrie Stevens, what she used. All I know is the instructions usually will turn around when they say a throat, it just says pink, or it just says red, or it just says yellow, whatever. So anyway, pointing that out because sometimes if you can't find a particular color that you're looking for, you might have it on some, on a bass salt neck or something, or even a strung rooster neck, strung rooster saddle, or something like that. You may have some that will work. Even if you have, like a hen saddle that has long fibers to it, and it's the right color and everything you want, use it. Doesn't always have to be schlappen. Plus, when you're done, like that's about all I can get off of this, because now I can actually even use this feather maybe for another streamer. So you keep that. I'll tie my third clump in on my side, and our throat's going to be done. Now we're going to tie in the wing, but before I do that, I want to clean this space up a little bit, smooth this off so I have a nice smooth platform for tying in my wing. So I've just got some peacock herl right here off of a peacock feather. You only need anywhere from 4 to 6. I usually do about 5. You want to get the tips fairly even on these. Once you get those kind of collected together, you can massage those a little bit to get your tips evened up. They all don't have to be perfect. For the sake of the video, I am taking the steps to get them at least all curving in the same direction. Tie those in right on top. That's the first part of our wing, is the peacock herl. Second part is some grizzly hackle. There's 4 grizzly hackles, 2 on each side, and a shoulder of mallard flank, along with a cheek of jungle cock. So these are 2 grizzly hackles on both sides here, and then the shoulder of natural mallard flank and the cheek of jungle cock. I'm going to match those up, getting my tails together. Just want to match those up so that they're all concave, so that flattens it out. I'm going to trim away the excess rachis on those. Now I've just got a couple of little handles here for tying that wing in. Tie my side in here. Just want to tie that kind of on the top, but also towards this particular side, my side here, because I want that to stay kind of vertical and right alongside the hook shank. I tie in the other side. Get in a half dozen 10 wraps to secure that real well, and then take a look at it. You can still actually scooch that around just a little bit if you have to. If it is all secure, I should say if it's all in place where we want it, then I bring my thread forward. From behind the eye of the hook, I start to shape the head. Purpose of the head is to cover up any butt end material and to give a nice transition from the broader wing and material down to the eye of the hook. So you just take your time with your thread here. We're going to make certain we've got the materials underneath covered up, and we have a nice base of this pink. Then we also want to make certain we have a nice transition from right behind the eye here. I'm going to put a little bit of wax on my thread. I'm going to put in a whip finish, and that will secure the pink. Careful there. Lost whip finish popped off my fingers. Happens sometimes. Where are we at? There we are. I'm going to trim away the thread. I'm going to attach my black thread. I'm using a Danville 70 Denier or 6/0 also. Not certain why some spools come, they just say 70 Denier and some just say 6/0. But they're essentially the same under Danville. I'm going to attach my black thread right behind, should say, just in front of the back end of the head here. Bringing that tag end over to my side, I can then continue to wrap in working backwards, and that will also trap in that tag. There's your jam knot. Trim away that tag. I want to divide that head up into about thirds, and I'm just making certain I've got everything covered here. You only want to put enough thread wraps on there to cover up the pink. You don't want to start bulking that up too much. At least that's the goal. Secure that with a whip finish, and then I'll reattach my black thread on the front portion of the head to make the front band. Certainly don't have any stray marks, and then I'm getting all the pink under there covered up. Again, trying to not have, a lot of bulk piled on up there. Just a little bit more pink. Maybe that's wax. A little bit of wax on my thread. Whip finish. Trim away my thread. I'm going to put some head cement on this. I use some Fly Tight, which is a thin head cement. It'll soak down in and securing all of those thread wraps. Then I'm going to come back and put 2 coats of a clear lacquer on this. That is mostly to protect the thread. I'm not looking for a glossy head here. I just want to protect the thread a little bit more. There is the pink lady. A couple of little tips there in that video on material choice for different reasons. If you don't have something dyed the color you're looking for. But an interesting baitfish imitation. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, You're doing it wrong.